Now that's if you cut it evenly into two parts. For example, if I draw a circle and I divide it evenly into three parts, I would not, this is not 1/2. We would not say 1/2 for one of these, we would say 1/3. Each one of these represents 1/3. So here you have 1/2. And here, you got 1/3. Now also, take the time to point out here as we start. Now also, my lectures you should write down what I write down. And when I write notes, have a separate section on, have a separate paper for those notes, and then have another paper for your calculations, and then number each calculation. Number your calculations. That way you keep it in order. Now 1/2 plus 2/2. So take 2/2 is equal to 2 divided by 2. 2 divided by 2, which we know that gives you 1. So 2/2 is equal to 1. Or we say 2/2 is equal to 1 whole. So this 2/2 represent, that's 2/2. But it's also 1 whole. Because 2 over 2 is equal to 1, which represents the whole. Okay? So, so for any fractions, so here's a rule for any fractions. Anytime where A represents any number, or we say A is any number, anytime you have a number divided by itself, or A over A, that gives you 1. Every time you have a number divided by itself, that gives you 1. Anything divided by itself gives you a numerical result of 1. Therefore, this equals 1/2 plus 1. But we say 1 plus 1/2. And you combine this. So here you have a number or an integer, and here you have our fraction. Now we're going to combine this. And here we have an integer number in here. We have our fraction. This is called a mixed number or mixed number fraction, or we simply say mixed fraction. And that's equal to, or read as, 1 and 1/2. Or we say 3/2 is equal to 1 and 1/2. So we say 3 over 2, or let's say you're given the fraction 3/2, we work backwards. We say that's equal to 2 over 2, or we say 2, using our methodology that here 2 is the denominator. What we're going to do is we're going to separate it into its sums, into parts that it can be added to make 3. So we know that 2 plus 1 equals 3. So we write 2 plus 1 above that. And then here we further separate that into 2 over 2 plus 1 over 2. Two over 2 equals equal to 1. We say 1 plus 1/2. Now that's its value, 1 plus 1/2. And then that breaks down into 1 and 1/2. But in algebra, I usually like to write my mixed numbers like this, and I would put them in parentheses or something. Now, let's say we have 1/2 plus 2/2. Plus 2/3. Okay? Now that's equivalent. Now we still use what we know to work with the first addition of 1/2 plus 2/2. So we have 1 plus 2 over 2 plus 2 over 3 plus 2/3. And that gives us 3/2 plus 2/3. Okay? You get 3/2 plus 2/3. Three halves plus 2/3. These cannot be added. Because they have different denominators. It has different denominators. Therefore, they cannot be added. So what you're going to have to do is to convert, when any fractions, you either have to convert either one denominator into the other one. or if you cannot convert either one of the denominators into the other one, meaning here, I would try to convert this denominator. One method I could try is to convert